On the eve of the NBA Finals, lots of news is dropping all over the association. What's going on? Let's find out. You're watching CS 105.1, where I talk about sports with good vibes. Let's get it. How's it going, everyone, and welcome. I'm CS Chandler here for another take of Nuggets basketball. Or rather, this time around, it's more or less just around the association and whatever. One thing for sure is tonight I do not have a script. I don't have anything kind of planned of what I really want to talk about. So this might be fun, it might be horrible. We're gonna just see how it goes. Big thing though is just I've seen a lot of podcasts talking about shit and ESPN talking about shit, people commenting on my stuff talking about shit, and so there's a lot of stuff that I feel like needs to get off my chest and things that just need to be talked about, you know. Number one is I wanted to go to one of the latest shorts that I posted, which is a little snippet of my past episode if you guys haven't already figured that out. But what I say in it is that Jokić doesn't need an all-star, and I gave specific reasons, and people keep on saying that those aren't good enough reasons. Let me get this perfectly clear, because I don't think you guys understand the significance of these matchups. So the whole point of my point was that when they put together the Phoenix Suns, they put that together already with those three players being all-stars. Of course, we're not talking about the current day, like right now. But if we do want to talk about current day right now, let's talk about the Phoenix Suns at the beginning of the season. They had one of the best records. They were number one for a good 3 weeks. They were better than the OKC at the start of the season. They were rocking on all cylinders. And it was their second season together as the big three. And so people started to think, well, maybe this is going to be exactly what they hoped it would be. So this isn't some kind of like, oh, well, these guys don't really matter anymore kind of thing. Like, it was always supposed to be the fact that you're putting these big stars together. And yeah, Devin Booker didn't make an all-star this year. That doesn't mean that he's not of all-star caliber. You know, that doesn't mean that he wasn't an all-star when this whole thing was created. The same thing with Bradley Beal. Like, they've had amazing, like way more amazing games this past season than Jamal Murray did, unfortunately, you know. So this isn't an invalid example. The Phoenix Suns is a perfect example of why you don't put all-stars together. But I went on to put my second example of the Milwaukee Bucks, and people were saying that Dame hasn't been Dame for a while. Dame is in Milwaukee because he's an all-star. That is specifically why they wanted to pair Giannis with another all-star. And this is, again, their second go-around, actually kind of a year and a half, right? Because he came in like mid-season last season to that team. So it's there's not an over the like, oh well, that's a horrible example. It's a perfect example, and exactly what the Milwaukee Bucks are doing is a perfect example of we do not want to do that with Jokić. That is the thing, and you have to. I don't understand the people that call out for needing an all-star. They apparently do not understand chemistry. Not every all-star has chemistry with every all-star. I guarantee you, I will bet money that if you put Kevin Durant in the Nuggets, it will go terribly because he does not buy into the system that the Nuggets are. He does not buy into what Jokić style of basketball is. You know what kind of basketball Kevin Durant plays? He plays me basketball, okay? He is a horrible teammate to be playing team sports, but he's a great individual at making points. And case in point, everywhere he's gone to, except for the Warriors, he has lost. Okay? I don't understand people glazing Kevin Durant. And plus, he doesn't like Denver. And obviously, we don't like him either. So there's no way that Kevin Durant's going to come, or that we need even Kevin Durant. Okay? The only place that he would do well is to go back to Golden State. Maybe he could win a championship with Steph Curry, but because obviously that's the only scenario in a team coordination that he actually understands. But that's like having Kevin Durant is one of the worst all-star examples anyone could offer to come to Denver. Other thing is, and plus, real quick, while I'm like diverging here, LeBron James has not been a phenomenal teammate. He does have some impact, but he slightly does play a little bit of me basketball too. However, Kevin Durant is more selfish than even LeBron is, right? Because when you see LeBron, at least he has a lot of freaking triple doubles, which means that he assists a lot, which means he passes the rock. You don't have Kevin Durant doing a lot of assists. He doesn't have a mountain of triple doubles in his career. All right. So I hate the entertaining of Kevin Durant coming, or that he's the answer to our problems. 100% he is not, and get him as far away from Denver as possible. Like that guy does not deserve to be in Denver at all, especially from the remarks that he said about Nuggets fans during the Olympics last year. So he's dead to me. You know, I cannot stand Kevin Durant after that. And a lot of it is, I know he's trolling, but not going to work with me. He's dead to me. So let's get the Kevin Durant talk out of the Nuggets. Let's move on, and actually going to LeBron. So if I were to continue to give out examples of why All-Stars playing with All-Stars does not work, let's go to the Lakers. Yeah, Luka just got traded. He's still trying to get over the trade itself affecting his mental state. But regardless of that, you did have Luka and LeBron together, and they weren't able to make it past the first round, really. And before that, you had AD and LeBron. AD is also an all-star, and he was an all-star last year. And I think he wasn't he an all-star this year too? I mean, like, don't come like that's why I cannot stand this. Oh, well, you need to put an all-star next to Jokić. No, we do not. We absolutely do not. Lakers, it didn't work. And then you go to the Clippers. Last year, you had Paul George, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard. Did that work? Did they win a chip? No, they didn't. How about this year? Well, okay. Well, you had at least James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. And Kawhi Leonard actually had his best season since 2019 when he won the chip in Toronto. And yet, did that work? No, obviously, because the Nuggets took them out. And we almost got taken out by them. So that we are the only reason why the Clippers didn't move forward. But you cannot say that Kawhi Leonard and James Harden aren't all-stars, because they are completely some of the best players in the league. As painful as that is for me to say Harden is one of the best players, I understand he is at least in the top 20. But, I mean, that's another example. You want to move on to more examples? Well, then we have, unfortunately, my New York Knicks, right? You had Cat and Brunson, and they both they've made it as far as the Eastern Conference Finals, but then they didn't go past that. And they are 100% two all-stars from this year, and an example of how that didn't work. And then you have the actual Boston Celtics, right? And they have multiple all-stars, and they didn't make it past the second round this year. So obviously, it's not about having all-stars playing with all-stars. It's about team chemistry and team buying into the system together. Yeah, the Celtics won a chip last year with their all-star team, but it didn't work this year. So, okay, it gets you maybe one chip out of how many years have they been together, right? And plus, one thing I will say is that besides Drew Holiday, the only other All-Stars you have on that team is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And those two were drafted to the Celtics. They grew up in the system that Boston was trying to mold together. Same thing with the Thunder, okay? SGA was the only traded asset out of that organization. Chet and J-Dub were both drafted into the system and grew up through it. They're growing up through it right now. Same thing with the Cavs, okay? The only asset that was an actual all-star or has been an all-star and wasn't originally through the Cavs system originally or wasn't drafted into it was Mitchell, okay? Mobley and Garland both got drafted to the Cavs and they grew up in that system. So, I mean, you could keep on going with all these other teams. Like, having an all-star play with Jokić is not the answer. You need to have the chemistry. And if you take any one of the main roster spots, the starting roster spots of the guys that are in there right now, MPJ, AG, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, if you take any of them out of the system, you already saw how it was difficult for the Nuggets to find some kind of chemistry and play together with Russell Westbrook in there, okay? Now you're going to get someone else to be an actual starter. Ain't going to work. It might work for like 7 games. You might have a 7-game stretch of winning, and then you're going to have 4 games of losing. And then where we're going to be? We're going to be like, oh, we'll get him off the team, right? It's not about all-stars. So anyone who thinks that all-stars are the answer, you don't understand chemistry then. You really don't. And I'm sorry to put that out to you, right? So the other thing was the unfortunate news that the Knicks let go their head coach, Tom Thibodeau. And I mean, I kind of already saw it eventually happening. He definitely has a Malone mentality of only playing. Actually, he's even worse than Malone. To be honest, he's actually worse than Malone because he really doesn't want to even play 7 players. He will play 6 and maybe 6. It's mostly 5. He plays mostly 5 players all the time through regular season and postseason. And it's just the fact that the starting 5 had to be marathon runners to be able to make it through the entire season and postseason, that they were able to even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I do understand that there is some kind of resistance against letting Tibbs go, because he did get the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. That is a big deal. And to at least give him another chance to come back and see if they can go further than that next year. But you already had players complaining about him. I mean, case in point is Mikal Bridges, right? He already started to complain about the minutes, and he actually had every right to complain about the minutes, because you have other players. You have 7 other players on the roster that you're not even trying to get minutes for and build up and get better at. I mean, I totally understand it. And then apparently, I guess there's been talk of Cat also going against him. And so, I mean, it's just it's crazy that the NBA is so strict with coaches, and they will fire them without a hesitation. But in that aspect itself, it was really amazing to see that Malone was with the Nuggets for 10 years. Granted, it was rather sucky that, you had him, like, we just won a championship 2 years, and you didn't even get him a second chance to go through the playoffs to see if he could have done better. But if he had already lost the team, then he had lost the team. And so then some people are saying, oh, Malone should coach the Knicks. I actually kind of would like that. I would love that a lot, actually. But you're basically trading kettle for a pot. Like, they're pretty much the same thing. If you put in Malone in that spot, he does pretty much the exact same thing that Tibbs does, but he is a little bit more lenient. He will play maybe a seventh guy in there. I mean, Julian Strother, he liked, but then pretty much other than that, like, and occasionally Peyton Watson, but he wasn't playing Pickett enough. He wasn't playing Najee enough, right? And we all saw that the minute Dario Saric started to go downhill, he was like, nope, not going to play you ever again. I can't even count how many minutes Dario Saric actually played this past season. It has to be like something small, like 11 minutes or something like that. Like, it was pretty bad. I mean, granted, for those couple of minutes that he was on the floor, he really was horrible. So we will see how David Edelman does about that. But I don't know if Malone is the answer for the Knicks as much as I actually would like that, especially because we don't see the Knicks except for 2 times a year. Like, I could get behind rallying, and I would give me more of a reason to love the Knicks even more if Malone was their head coach. But I actually kind of think there are other opportunities. There was another name that was floated out there of Patrick Ewing, the former Knick himself, and the reason why I started to love the Knicks. And I like that idea. I actually like that idea of Patrick Ewing coaching the Knicks. I could take him, and then I don't think I could take Jenkins from the Grizzlies, who got fired. I don't know if he would really be good in that system, but I think Patrick Ewing would be good, and Coach Malone, and maybe an assistant coach somewhere would be good. I just don't want it to see Rick Brunson. That would just be too much. I love Jalen Brunson, but his dad is way too much. And then we still haven't gotten any word yet on who our GM is, the Nuggets GM, though we're hoping that maybe we'll get the announcement sometime this week. I mean, there's only a couple days left, maybe next week, and most likely will be Ben Tensar. And then there's some slightly talk of maybe Bruce Brown coming back, which, I mean, he does buy into our system very well. So if he were to, it wouldn't be a horrible thing. I just wouldn't want to get my hopes up that it's going to be exactly like the chip year, 2023 chip year. Because seeing him play in Toronto and with the Pelicans, he's just not the same Bruce that we know and love. And maybe that's because he's not in Denver. And if he's in Denver, he's going to be a lot harder and better at playing. Maybe him and Brown can get back into the swing of things like they were before. But I just don't want to give my hopes up if he comes back to the Nuggets and lets us all down, essentially. Like, this is not the same Bruce Brown. I expected more. I'm not going to expect more. Like, if he comes back, okay, but I don't think he's the answer either. So it would be nice, but the things have changed too, and he's gotten older, and he also has gotten injured several times now since leaving the Nuggets. So I don't know, but it'll be interesting. And then the other thing was that the Phoenix Suns picked their head coach, of the assistant coach of the Cavs, and good for them. Good for them for picking an assistant coach, a younger coach, because to be honest, there's way too many old coaches right now in the NBA, and they need to have a changing of the guard. Like, I know these older guys love the sport and they dedicate their lives to it, but there has to be some kind of eventual changing and handing over the keys to the next generation so that it can continue. And that's kind of what we've been seeing throughout all industries. I mean, even in my industry, of the film and entertainment industry, like, one of the hardest jobs in my industry to get is being a Foley sound artist. And it's because you only get to become a full sound artist when the previous one dies. They basically stay there until they no longer can do it anymore. Like that's how crazy difficult it is to get in this industry. I mean, you have people that only trust certain people, and so gives zero opportunity to anyone that could be deserving of that position. I really like this idea of, the younger coaches kind of taking over. We saw that with the Spurs. The interim head coach there took over for Pop. Now you have the assistant coach in Cavs coming over for the head coach of the Suns. You have David Adelman taking over the Nuggets. So maybe that's what the Knicks do too. They get a younger coach in there to bring them through. I mean, it seems to be working for OKC. Their young coach, even though he looks like he came straight out of a 90s sports movie as the villain of a 90s sports movie, but he's still, bringing that team to the finals. Their first finals in 17 years or something like that. And speaking of that, so yeah, we have the finals are tomorrow. This is the eve of the NBA finals, and I do not give a shit. I really don't care about this finals, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. But as much as I love the Knicks, I do have to rebrand myself for right now as a Pacers fan. So I understand why Knicks fans didn't like the Pacers, but I also liked the Pacers even before they met with the Knicks, just because I have a lot of respect for Halliburton after he verbally spoke about his respect for Jokić. And pretty much you're going to earn my respect if you respect my guy Jokić and the Nuggets. Like if you just respect the game, you respect your opponent, then I'm going to respect you. And that's one thing I do not have any respect for OKC, because they have zero respect for anyone else. They're so arrogant. That's such an unlikable team. And the only ones who really like them are the people in Oklahoma, because they finally have something to grab onto. But to be honest, you guys have such a arrogant team that doesn't really show respect to anyone else. And I started thinking about that more of like, what would happen for me to like OKC? And I was thinking it would have to be if they were to go back to Seattle. I actually really liked the Supersonics back in the day. Like you had Sean Kemp on there, man. He was an awesome player. He was a force of nature, He a reckoning. Like he was dominating the league himself too at times. And it really saddened me to see that the Supersonics left Seattle. And I really hope that they come back. You can keep OKC, the Thunder there, but just bring back the Supersonics. I honestly think, in overall, that they, with the league organization, they need to bring back the Supersonics and then give Vegas or Mexico City a team, and then you move the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves to the Eastern Conference. Because, when you look at the Timberwolves right now, they're only an hour away from the Milwaukee Bucks, and yet they're in the Western Conference Finals, and the Milwaukee Bucks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. It doesn't make sense. A little bit further down, the Bulls are there. So what's going on? Like, the Timberwolves do not deserve to be in the Western Conference. Same thing with the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies is the biggest example of a team that is in the wrong conference. They should 100% be in the Eastern Conference. They're just about the same distance in the East as Atlanta is, and yet they're in the West and Atlanta's in the East. It doesn't make any sense. So you bring the Grizzlies to the Eastern Conference side. Same thing with the Timberwolves, and then you create two teams on the west side of the Supersonics, and then Vegas or Mexico City. I think that's a perfect idea. I actually kind of like the idea of Mexico City having a team, just to expand it to another. Since we already have one team in Canada, why not? Let's have a team in Mexico. Why not? Although seeing the way things have been going with sports, it seems more optimal that it would be in Vegas. I mean, they have a WNBA team before most of America has a WNBA team. Like that just blows my mind that there's no WNBA team in Denver, and yet you have one in LA and one in the Bay Area now. You have one coming to Portland. You have one coming to Toronto. You have already one in Seattle. You have one in Minnesota. And yet there's not one that you can bring to Denver. So the fact also that they moved the Raiders there, they moved the A's there. So it makes a lot of sense that if they were to create another team, one would go to Vegas. So, but then, so going back to the finals, so you have OKC and the Pacers, and I'm definitely rooting for the Pacers. I hope that they win. I know it's not going to be easy for them, but also they're the underdog, and I'm going to take the underdog 9 times out of 10. And I just like the idea of them being champions more so than the Thunder. You know, Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam, they deserve it, man. Even McConnell, you know, TJ McConnell, he's a dog. You know, he's actually to be rooting for the team that they're playing against. He's just a menace, like a pest, but when you're rooting for him, he's a great guy to have on your team. And he's someone that I think could actively attack Alex Caruso and throw him off. So we shall see how that all goes. Hopefully it's not a massacre. That's my biggest hope, because the Pacers did lose the ball a lot. And if it's one thing I've noticed in these last playoff games, that if you cannot control the ball around the Thunder are going to make you pay for it. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm rooting for the Pacers. Let's go Pacers. And so then I also saw the Stanley Cup Finals started today, and the Oilers won. Not a big fan of the Oilers, especially because they have McDavid, and McDavid versus McKinnon battle has been going on for way too long, even though McKinnon, to me, is the best NHL player right now. So I'm rooting for for Florida in that one, the Florida Panthers, just because I cannot have McDavid winning a championship. That's going to be too brutal to the argument of who's the best player right now. So many people say McDavid, but it's obviously McKinnon. McKinnon is the only choice for best NHL player. But that's I hope that's an interesting game or series to watch. I'm not too interested in it as well, because I really don't have interest in either of those teams. I have somewhat interest in the Pacers, but I have zero interest in the Panthers and the Oilers. So who knows? Who cares, really? Obviously, Edmonton is crazy about their team, and good for them. But it's not like I was really hoping that if the Avs weren't going to make it, that at least the Gold Knights would make it, or the Kings, and none of them made it. So I'm kind of like, okay, whatever, do your thing. I'm not going to be so much interested. I'm barely interested in the NBA Finals right now. I mean, they haven't even really been marketing it well either. You know, haven't really seen a lot about it. So I'm actually excited for if it comes out with bad ratings. That would be amazing for me. I don't know about for you, but I would love that. So, and then the other thing is just I want to talk a little bit about what everyone's watching right now. Let me know what you guys are watching in the comments. What really is grabbing your interest? I still watch a lot of sports still. Obviously, I'll have the Stanley Cup Finals playing in the background. Probably do the same thing with the NBA Finals. And then also with baseball. Got to see the Dodgers win against the Mets the other night on that was yesterday actually, and that was a good game. being a Rockies fan, you have to have a kind of a backup team, and the Dodgers are my backup team for baseball. Love it or hate it, I do. I like them because of Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani is an amazing player to watch, and he kind of gives me the Steph Curry vibes. He's like the Japanese Steph Curry of baseball, and it's just the fact that like whenever they are sad, it makes you sad. Like, don't make Steph Curry sad, man. Don't make Shohei Ohtani sad. Come on now, they're great guys. So, but I do like the Dodgers, and the Rockies are so bad right now. But we got our first winning streak. 3 games in a row we won against the Marlins. Raise the banner. Woohoo! We are winning, y'all. We won. It's just kind of like we're at the point now with how bad they are that we're just like, okay, come on, bring the worst record. At least it's a record that we can have. They could still have that record, and I will still love the Rockies. Like, I think a lot of Rockies fans, or at least a majority of them, still love the Rockies regardless if they're bad or not. It's just a fun team to go drink some beers and just, by chance they're playing baseball in the same area that you are drinking a beer. Like, that's kind of what the best analogy for Coors Field is. It's the best bar where baseball just happens to be played. But, I still will root for the Rockies. I have root for them ever since they were first started in the 90s. I remember going to the games when I was a little kid and seeing Galarraga and Walker. And it was so much fun when the announcer would call Larry Walker's. I don't know if any of you were around during that time or remember this, but he would call out and it'd be Larry Walker. It was just a fun thing. So, but other than sports, some shows that I've been watching, I've actually been watching a lot more shows lately than I have movies. It's just because you don't have to sit through 2 or 3 hours, and I like to give my full attention to a movie. And unless I'm in a theater, it's so difficult to give a full attention to a film right now. There's one thing that I heard that's crazy when you think about this, that when they come up with films now today, even I think this goes a little bit to TV series as well. When they come up with those, there's actually a saying, is it second screen worthy? If you don't know, second screen worthy is that the film that is, or the story that's being shown on the main screen has to combat the small screen, because people will be on their phones doing whatever it is that you're doing on your phone while the main screen is going with the film or the TV show. And so you need to be more interesting than this. That's crazy. That's where we are in today's society, where films are now combating against another screen, second screen worthy. And like hearing that too, like, wow, that actually, like, I find myself sometimes too just looking at my phone while the TV show is going on or whatever. If I lose my interest, I start to go out to my phone, or I'll be already doing something else. Like, I actually started to play films in the background when I was growing up, because I draw a lot, and drawing my storyboards or sketches or whatever, I would be drawing while, watching Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or something like that. And so I've already kind of grown up with that kind of mentality, but not a full on like phone distraction, because the phone way more distracting than drawing. I don't know if you notice, but is way more distracting. So, but plus, like, when you're in a theater, there's black all around. You have the one screen and then just black all around. And I like that, because now I'm only focused in like a tunnel vision at the screen rather than seeing, the chair next to me, or the couch next to me, or the posters on the wall, or the kitchen. Like there's so many other distractions happening around you that when you're watching the TV, anything can pull your attention away. So that's why I really love the theater. But since I'm not watching many movies right now, except for the few times I've gone to the theater, I saw Thunderbolts, which was a decent Marvel film. I don't hate it and I don't love it, but it was way better than a lot of the films have been. They said in the trailer it's the best film since Endgame. That's kind of a low bar, to be honest. That's a pretty low bar. So it's not that difficult to be better than most of the films that have come out since Endgame. But it is, I would agree, it is one of the better films since Endgame. And then I watched the Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, and that was a really fun film. Just seeing all the stuff that Tom Cruise does stunt-wise. You can 100% film safely all of the stuff that he does. There is no need for him to be jumping off of airplanes onto other airplanes or to be diving in water for 6 minutes. There's absolutely no need for it. You can actually film that in a safe way and it still would have the same effect. But just the fact that he wants to do it is pretty phenomenal. Definitely have a lot of respect for Tom Cruise. Like whatever he's doing, and especially how young he looks and everything. And like, man, I don't know if Scientology works for everyone, but it sure seems to be working for Tom, So yeah, at least he's not recruiting people, on sets. I know that I've heard this from several people that I know who have been on his sets, that he doesn't recruit people. So that's cool. And he might be a little crazy when you're living with him, but other than that, like I'm cool with him. But show-wise, I've been watching Silo. I don't know if any of you have watched Silo. I'm in the second season, and I'm trying to get through it. It's also another one that it grabs your attention, and you just want to keep on watching it. It's very second screen worthy. And then the other show that I just finished was the series finale of The Gemstones. And if you haven't watched The Gemstones on HBO, go watch The Gemstones. Get a free trial, whatever you need to do. Binge The Gemstones. That is a phenomenal show. Danny McBride is a comedic genius. I love everything that he's done. Vice Principals, Eastward Bound and Down, also about baseball. He's just a funny guy. And then also all the films that he'd been in too. I mean, like Pineapple Express. Perfect example of his kind of style of acting and everything. He's just a very funny guy, and he's a great writer too. He does all of his stuff out of South Carolina, which is awesome. That he doesn't even commit to the Hollywood model of living in Hollywood and doing all that stuff there. He actually takes it to other parts of the U.S., which is great. So. I highly recommend watching Gemstones. Silo, I also recommend. It is very intense and also very well done. And then I'm trying to get enough time to go back into shows that I haven't finished yet. Like I started the season or the series or whatever, and I just haven't been able to finish it yet. I did finish The Wire. I think I said this a couple of episodes ago, but I was watching The Wire, and I finally finished that. I liked it. I definitely think season 1 was the best one. I'm not so sure of how they ended that series, if I really approve of that series ending. It kind of was cheesy, kind of corny, but I like the overall show was really cool. And then I also watch a lot of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, or Bill Maher, or a lot of the late night shows. So that kind of keeps my attention also away from watching other stuff. But I do want to get back into The White Lotus. I have watched season 1 and season 2, and I'm on season 3, episode 6. So I haven't finished the season yet, but I want to spend time to go back into that. Other series that I want to get back into is Squid Game. I know season 3 just came out after season 2 just came out in Christmas time, and now all of a sudden we have season 3. So I do want to watch season 2 and season 3 of that. But and there is a pile of films that I want to see, and actually shows too. So. But let me know what you guys have been watching. Really interested in knowing what other people watch, and if you like it or not. Do you approve of what you're watching, or are you think it's wasting your time? But that's pretty much all I got for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe. Share it to your friends and family. And you've been listening to CS 105.1, where I talk about sports with good vibes. We'll catch you later. And go Pacers, at least for the next couple of games or so. Catch you later.